But I'm sitting there and I'm watching this clip of this band that I have all the reverence in the world for play a track that I made for Lindsay Lohan to sit and walk on the couch to talk to Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show. And this is just existing in this little box in my phone, on Twitter. I have no idea where we left off.
I know where we left off. So you're now you're wearing new clothes in this situation. Like you're temping, you're wearing new, you don't have the same hairstyle as you used to. You're feeling like the dream that you had is now gone. You're starting a new chapter. What you just said, you're adulting.
I'm attempting to adult.
You're attempting to adult.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I find interesting because, like you mentioned earlier about the gaming, like being a game and people looking at it that way. I feel like a lot of individuals, like our parents, always want us to be successful. They don't want us to have to struggle or worry about how we're going to make ends meet. And sometimes individuals who are leaning more towards creativity and want to do, I guess, the arts, as they say, that can lead our parents to become a bit stressed about how we're going to work in life. Because for us, a lot of it, like you're playing the drums, you're having fun. Fun can't mean work.
Yeah.
You can't play and work. They say you have to have, you have to have a time for work and a time for play. But you, and I can say this for myself too, I've been very fortunate to be able to play at work a lot. And at this point in time, you're feeling like the play is over with.
Yeah.
I gotta get to work.
Time is over. Yeah. And some of that comes from the way that I was raised, specifically with my father, because my father was never a person who's just like, oh, your little job over there, this little thing. But the energy was always like, okay, do this until, whatever, until, something serious comes around or something that is more sustainable. For sure. Father was super blue collar, whatever, has been a mechanic his entire life. So, that checks out, but. And then again, because I didn't have anybody else in my family who knew anything about this industry or being a creative or whatever, it's not like I had a template to follow or anybody I could really even talk to. So my understanding of it was kind of that. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you become an adult.
So the music, the being a rapper, being in the music industry, that dream is no longer a thing. Yeah. And now you're attempting to adult. Yep. Right? And are you still on your time off from work? You're not even making music. Nah. Are you serious?
Not really. I mean, but this is what's funny. That temp agency job lasted all of 3 weeks.
And then what happened after that?
Well, first of all, I got Friday'd. I got fired on my day off. But it wasn't so much on my day off as they kind of let me know on my way home from the job not to come back.
Because you were trying to build a clubhouse.
Well, this is what was funny. It was interesting to me that I won't name the company, but it was a.
Please don't. They might be one of the sponsors of this episode.
Maybe. But I got fired while I was getting trained.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't mean to laugh at you.
No, laugh, because it's funny. It's very funny. They were
like, you obviously, we're trying to train you to do this thing. You're not good.
Well, I didn't even really get a chance to do the job, and I think, and I talked to the lady
before you could do the job.
Well, I think and again, because I won't name the company, but it was a fashion company, and if you're in a cafeteria full of people and you have tables full of people all talking about fashion, and you're the one person sitting eating lunch at a table that's watching ESPN.
Hold up, you're watching ESPN by yourself?
Yeah, at a lunch table.
Bro, you gotta come together with your new friends. You gotta make new friends.
I'm still trying to wash off the musician. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what I am yet or what I'm trying to do.
Of course.
I'm new to this job. I'm going like, okay, I can get trained in doing this.
For sure.
But eventually, but for now, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch highlights.
You know what it sounds like they were doing when they fired you? It was kind of like when you had that moment when you were looking at Rez sketching.
Oh yeah.
While others are writing songs.
Yeah.
They were like, look, this isn't you.
Yeah.
They also saw it.
No, and that's the reason why in the moment that I was confused and mad and upset about it, because I wasn't mad. Ultimately, I wasn't mad at the fact that they fired me because of everything that you just said. It was like they were actually doing me a favor. In my brain, I was disappointed because I'm like, okay, so I can't even adult right. I can't even like figure out how to like, you know what I'm saying? Like I cut my hair, did all this shit. You know what I'm saying? And this how you repay me? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I can't win. Like and then that led to ultimately the conversation with my brother.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't see it that way at all. I just was kind of bitter and upset and mad that I got fired while I was getting trained to do this. Oh, they don't even believe me.
Brutal. It's brutal. So now you're without a job.
Without a job, sleeping on my man's couch.
When do you start making music again? Because clearly,
this is in the timeline. I might have screwed up the timeline before. This is when ultimately Jay would show back up.
Okay.
Jay would show back up because this was pre 2013. Mm-hmm. And then we would ultimately reconvene and make that album. And
then you toured for that album. We
toured for at least a couple years. Heavy. We were signed with French labels, so we did most of our touring in Europe, which was fun. It was great for me.
But then after the split happened there,
after the split happened the second time. So after the split happened the second time, this is what was interesting. Everything was kind of melding together in a way because we toured heavy and then we took a break and we decided, okay, let's work on some other things. Jay was working on some separate projects. In the meantime, I just got really heavy into production. I started doing all these remixes. SoundCloud was a thing and that whole community was growing. I started posting stuff on SoundCloud. That stuff started getting action. DJs started playing my stuff. One of those DJs being Mr. Jeffrey Towns, Mr. DJ Jazzy Jeff.
DJ Jazzy Jeff. Now, had you had a relationship with Jazzy Jeff?
The way that relationship got formed was there's a rapper called Skills.
Mad Skills?
Mad Skills.
Oh, come on now.
Mad Skills reached out to me on Twitter. Mad Skills reached out to me on Twitter one day, and he was like,
You knew.
I never met him before. None of these people.
Okay, so Skills is reaching out to you on Twitter just randomly because he is what? He's just like, hey, man.
He tells me this story. He was like, listen, man, I'm in this club. It's me, Questlove, J-Rock, and he probably names 2 other DJs, and we having a Dilla night. And we're playing all these Dilla's joints or what? No. I don't think it was a Dilla night. He did a Dilla set or something like that. Or whatever. J-Rock gets up. And at the time, I don't know if you remember this, Fat Joe had a record using the Soul song. That started with the ha or whatever, but that's all he used.
Okay.
And J-Rock gets up there, he's playing his set. All of a sudden the record starts and he goes, and we're thinking like, oh, here comes the Fat Joe joint. All of a sudden, these drums come out of nowhere. Your joint comes on. Everyone at the table's like, the fuck is happening right there? What is this? And we all know J-Rock to play just these records that nobody else has.
For sure.
So we're going like, yo, what is this record? Afterwards, Ross was like, oh, this dude, Stro Elliot, he's LA. He's based in LA. And so he's like, I need this dude's number.
How does J-Rock have your album?
That's a good question. The Beat Junkies as a whole, as a collective, because I knew Repmatic, and I knew, who else did I knew? I had met Babu.
But you weren't actively tapping back to the people because you knew a lot of people.
Like I said, I just started making records. I started doing remixes.
And you're just going on SoundCloud, putting it out, and people are just like still finding you some way.
The funny thing about that particular record, though, that particular record was posted in 2005, maybe on MySpace. That record had been circulating forever. Yeah. The first people who had that record knew it from having it on MySpace, and like that record is 20 years old.
Yeah, but I hadn't known you back then. I never heard it.
I mean, you went on MySpace like that,
bro. I was on MySpace.
Well,
Whatever, man.
But yeah, like that came from a beat battle that I did with my guy Newman from Giant Panda, and they asked us to make.
Shout out to Newman.
Shout out to Newman. I saw him recently too. What up, Newman? He came to New York. We did this Dilla night actually. My man Ray Angry and Jay Period. We did a beat battle. They had this thing that they did called a sound class that they used to do for Root Down. And we got pitted against one another. And so I had to make 4 or 5 joints.
Hold up. So at this point, this is
when is
05, you're saying?
No, 04? The beat battle or when the beat was
the beat battle.
The beat battle was. It's tricky. It might have been around there. It might have been 2005, 2006, maybe a little later. So I make a couple joints. That being one of them, that Soul to Soul joint. you know, the beat battle is over. People love the joints. I put them on MySpace just in case for the people who couldn't be in LA to witness this event.
Got it. So 05, 06, let's say.
07 maybe.
07.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Well,
this is the thing. DJs are up on it. There's
DJs are playing this.
Yeah, some of the DJs.
But the right individuals in the audience aren't hearing it yet.
Yeah.
Skills hears it.
Yeah. Skills hears it at this night with all these DJs. He was like, I need to find this guy. Whatever do you do? So he doesn't even ask J-Rock. He doesn't ask the other people there. He goes on Twitter and goes, yo, there is a version of this Soul to Soul Strong that this producer from LA knows. Does anybody know him?
What is the deal with that? Why wouldn't he just?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Okay, so he reaches. He
goes into this Twitter sphere and
got it.
and throws something. He's like, does anybody know this guy? Somebody, a guy that I didn't know personally, was like, oh, you're talking about Stro Elliot.
Do you know that person?
I don't know that person. No, I still don't know that person.
Send my man a whole whatever.
Yeah. But he goes, oh, you're talking about Stro Elliot. Yeah, he's a LA-based producer. Like, he used to be in this group called the Procussions. Like, yeah, he's dope. Like, you know, here's his handle. And he you know, adds me on Twitter or whatever.
So something you had made 8 years previous, put out into the universe, sees no traction, big traction.
Yeah.
Right ears did not hear it yet.
Right.
This night, I want to say by chance, but it's not. The right timing, right?
Yeah.
All about timing. This one's for Stro. Right, the right ears are here. Because maybe Jay was thinking. Jay was like, this is. Maybe he was like, this is one of my favorite joints.
Right.
I see some of my favorite people here tonight.
Right.
I want them to hear something that I've been digging for such a long time.
Which is something I've always loved about the DJ community. There's an understanding when you're a DJ, when you know you got some shit, and you're around your other DJs, and you're like, that was cool. That set was dope. That set was dope. Maybe my whole set ain't killing, but I got something in this set that's going.
There it is.
You know, or whatever. And lucky for me, that was at least one of them. I wasn't there that night, so I don't know what else J-Rock played. J-Rock is an incredible DJ, so I doubt that there wasn't some other joints that he didn't also play that were crazy. But for the other people in tow that night, that was their first time hearing that. Right.
And it hit Skills in a way where he was like, I need
Skills
to
specifically
know.
He said, I need to sit down with the parents, with the guy who made this beat and have breakfast with them. You know, that was, I think.
Is that the tweet?
I don't know if that was the tweet, but I remember that coming up in the conversation because he sent the tweet, the at or whatever. He inboxed me. He was like, "Can I get your number?" Like, he didn't even want to talk through DM.
Hold on. What was the? No. I understand that he reached out to the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
Asked about who made this song.
Yeah.
Homie, who we again give my man some love for putting him in contact with you. Said Stro Elliot probably put your handle in.
Yeah.
When Skills first messaged you, he said what?
He said, "Let me have your number."
Out the gate?
Out the gate.
He ain't going. It's just like, yo.
But this is the thing. He said, "Let me get your number," and I'm going, "Okay." I gave him the number.
It's Skills.
He called me immediately.
Damn.
He called me immediately. And, you know, usually you pick up the phone and you'd be like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, man? This is Skills. I got your number through Twitter, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to read.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I picked up the phone. Hello? So I'm sitting there with my mans, right? He just starts talking. I'm sitting there with my mans, right? And we ready for this Fat Joe record to start. And we thinking, here's J-Rock. He think we ain't heard this Fat Joe record. Your beat comes in. We all lose our fucking minds, bro. And we like, who is this? Who is this? I need to sit down and have the dinner with the parents of the person who made this beat. I need to understand where this person comes from.
Damn.
Like who made this beat?
Whose mind comes up with this?
It's Skills.
No, I'm talking about he's saying that about you.
But I mean, even for him to say that, like to be that specific, like that's a very
that's
Skills.
That's a Skills mind.
But he was interested enough in just the person behind the music enough, to go that far.
Why was it? I mean, I know why, me personally, but for him, why is it like, I need to know all this information now.
It's one of those tracks. And to this day, like, because I mean, not to fast forward, you look in the Kanye use of it. And you look
just fast forward the fuck out of this.
I'm sorry. We'll get, okay, well then we'll talk about that in a minute.
Because
there's an idea that this track won't die. And there's something about this particular track that people gravitate towards. And a lot of that, obviously has to do with the original song. It's just a great song.
Yo, and I want to put this out there. And another thing that I really talk about is when I was a kid, my mom got me for Christmas this small little record player. Mm-hmm. I think it came with a Hulkamania workout tape thing. Mm-hmm. And that same Christmas, that album is what I got for Christmas. The first album I've ever got was that single.
Word.
And your whole thing is whenever I hear it and I listen to it, it brings me back to that moment.
Gotcha.
Right? So that's for me. I wonder if that's like a thing.
I think that's what it is for almost everyone. Like, I think because it was one of those songs where if you were there, you were there, and it affected you in a certain way. And maybe you didn't even like the song that much when you heard it when you were younger.
Yeah.
But as soon as that vocal comes in,
for sure,
everybody is sort of transported.
It changes the dance floor for sure.
Yeah, and then whatever I did production wise after that is at least to
whatever he
liking,
did, the magic he put in there. Listen, so okay, I don't want you to talk. I want you to talk, but I don't want to talk.
Talk.
I understand Skills at this moment.
Okay.
What was his ultimate goal? He wants to have breakfast with your parents, but what is the ultimate one here? Does he want the track or does he want you to make beats for him? Because those of you who don't know who Skills is one of the greatest MCs out there.
He's
right?
one of the best writers, period.
Writers, period. Okay.
We're going to talk about it. You'd have to talk about what his writer credits are too as well, if you're going to talk about what Skills is.
Yo has mad, like the name right there, mad Skills.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking, he wants you to make a joint for him.
Yeah.
Is that the goal?
That wasn't the conversation. I think he was just a person, because the thing about Skills too, Skills just loves music. Skills is also a DJ.
I love that.
And
just want to give praise.
And he heard a track that he loved, and he wanted to shout out. He wanted to talk to the person that made the track. We didn't talk about working together. We didn't talk about placements or anything like that. He was just kind of like, "Yo, I love this track. Send me whatever else you got. There's probably some other dope stuff that you made as well." And we developed a relationship just based off the fact that we had a mutual respect for each other's craft and what we do. Because of that, he at the time was working with DJ Jazzy Jeff as his hype man. They were touring together. When Jeff would spin, Skills was always with him. Mm-hmm. And so obviously Skills knows the record. I know this DJ who spins everything. Let me give him the record. Now, I would later find out from Jeff that Jeff said he got the record from a mutual homie, DJ Day. Shout out DJ Day.
Okay.
DJ Day. I mean, listen, everybody that I mentioned, everybody's name that I mentioned, we can do 2 hours on, because they're all incredible individuals. They're all incredible in their own right. And, DJ Day specifically was the first person that I heard. And I went, I want to do that with sets. I want to do that. Like, I remember, listening to his, one of his first, I wish I could remember the name of it. And the way that everything melded together so seamlessly, he had an incredible mind for making one record bleed into the next in the most creative way, and taking bits and pieces from a record and making it connect with another record. And it's kind of the way that I operate as in production. For sure. But it was the first time I see somebody do that just in a set and go, you can also apply this to how you do like an entire set. Make one song connect to the next one, whether it's through melody, whether it's through theme, whether it's through whatever. Maybe they use the same drum loop or whatever. But Day gave him a folder. They gave Jeff a folder, and it was my works of myself, and at the very least, a tall black guy who's also another incredible producer. And
what's
Jeff,
his name?
Tall black guy.
But what's his name?
Tall black guy.
Okay, continue. Yeah. All right.
His real name is Terrell, but everybody knows him as Tall Black.
As Tall Black, like that's his producer name?
That's his producer name, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You had me for a second there. I thought it was like, who's on first?
And really quick, really short, when I first met Tall Black Guy, because me and him had talked through social media a lot, but it never met face to face. So the first time I met him was at Jeff's. And I walk into the studio.
Hold on. You're skipping.
I know, but we're going to get to that, but I'm just saying, it's a funny anecdote. I walk into the studio with people that I don't know, and I see this guy leaning out in records, and as he stood up, he just seemed to get taller and taller. And I was like, that's a really tall black guy. That must be Tall Black Guy.
Got it. Okay, so Jazzy Jeff has DJ.
So now Jazzy just have a folder of records, and I'm one of the folders in there.
So you don't know anything about all this in the works.
No.
What are you doing in LA
At the time, I'm just in LA working. I'm
working on what?
Just working on remixes and doing stuff. I started to get to a point to where I was at least starting to do sets.
So you're paying you're making money that can help you move throughout life.
I'm making money, but I'm
beats.
also just establishing myself in a scene that I'm such a big fan of. LA at the time had such a really dope producer scene. There was an event that they did in LA called Low End Theory that was really big for everybody that was in the scene. There was things going around, like, I mean, Flying Lotus was really big at the time and starting to do shows.
Shout out Flying Lotus.
And like, you know, there was a real, like, what they called a beat scene.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden the producer was the star of the show.
For sure.
And I didn't know that at the time. I remember somebody told me, it's like, yeah, have you heard of the producer Flume? He's doing stadiums. He's doing like, you know, full on like or whatever. And he's just up there playing beats and remixes. Yeah. And I'm going, what? Like, you can do that?
Yeah.
So I started with just being in my own scene and just being like, okay, well, LA has a very bubbling beat scene or whatever. Like, let me make sure that I'm a part of this. And I remember walking into a couple rooms and a couple spaces and going like, and it was almost like can I play? You know, can I play too? And people were like, yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Get your ass up here. You're getting excited about it. So you're no longer taking like temp jobs. You're making money in music again.
Yeah, I'm starting to make money in music, and some of it is, you know, doing, you know, being in sessions and being in production.
But are you feeling that wave? Are you like, I'm back?
Kind of. Because like I said, this is all during like a kind of a hiatus or a break with what me and Jay were doing. We had made an album, we had toured, and the understanding was that we were going to do whatever our side projects were and then reconvene to, you know, to start working again. And so my version of what Jay was doing albums and doing all these other things, my version of it is like, I'm going to get involved in this beat scene. For sure. You know what I mean? I'm going to do this and see what pops over here. So I did just that. I got very involved in what was going on in LA, and it was the most fun, you know, being around these other creative weirdos and people who loved making music as much as I love making music. And
it's nothing like being around a community of people who understand.
Absolutely, yeah.
And know the grind.
And I'm mad that it took me that long to figure out that that's the community that I belonged in, because, you know, I'm out here in a rap group. So they viewed me as just, oh, he's a rapper. He's out there with the rap group. People, and because of the way that we did it, the liner notes of our albums read produced by the Procussions. It never said that I was specifically the guy doing the production. And that was set up on purpose. We did it that way on purpose. But the way that it hindered me, that people didn't know that was my actual passion. That was the thing that I was the most passionate about.
Because you could have been doing this on the side for other individuals.
Yeah, people who knew, but like in a general sense, people didn't know that I was the guy.
Got it. So
balancing work and life can be really stressful, and finding ways to work through the stress is always a goal of mine. Of course, the process of nurturing plants helps me to slow down, take a breath, and bring in joy. But unfortunately, my plants aren't licensed therapists with expert advice. Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with the therapist. There's a link in my description. It's betterhelp.com/Hilton. Clicking this link helps to support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. Starting this podcast was supposed to be a little extra therapy for me, getting the ideas in my head out. Good to know I can always use BetterHelp just in case Molly can't help me. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Hilton. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this channel.
I just love all of this. I'm eating all of this up. This is everything to me at this point in time. Because while you were now back in your in your superhero suit, the superhero suit I know you to have been wearing when I first met you, other things are brewing outside of your knowledge.
Yeah.
Jeff has the record. He's playing it in clubs.
He's playing it everywhere. I'm getting tweets every once in a while like, yo, I just heard Jeff play this Stro Elliot record. Sometimes Jeff is tweeting himself. Just a clip of him playing my record in a club.
Skills has your number. Does Jeff have your number?
Well, eventually he would. Jeff they would do like a couple runs, and then it would get to a point, because all this kind of came to a head because Jeff had a birthday party. Jeff had a birthday party, and his wife, shout out Lynette, threw him a surprise birthday party, invited all his DJ friends.
Are you one of his DJs?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a DJ.
I know you're not, but are you one of the friends?
No, these were all just the DJs. And these were like, we don't know each other like that yet. So he comes home, and it's in the basement of his house. All of his DJs are there, and they just have the best time just playing music all night for each other, hanging out. So Jeff comes up with the idea. It's like, that was really fun. I really loved it. And I also realized how little time that we get to just spend just being together and just being musicians and being DJs. I want to do something like that and have it be like this retreat.
Oh, okay.
So I think I want to do this thing called the Playlist Retreat. Now, before that happens and before that becomes conceptualized, he had a show in LA, and he made it a point to reach out to me. He's like, listen, I'm going to be in LA, on this set date or whatever. Are you free to come through and hang out? It's at a Guitar Center. I'm doing this thing that's honoring like DJ, I think maybe it was DJ Grand Wizard Theodore, like the big wigs that like DJ, Flash was there and whatever. And it was like, I was like, yeah, this would be the first time that we were going to physically meet. So, went down, met with him. It was dope. Watched him do his set. He came off the side of the stage. We chatted for like a little bit until eventually he had to go and do his thing or whatever. Taking pictures, signing babies, kissing foreheads. And we just kind of kept in touch, mostly through social media. And every once in a while he would send a text. He's like, I know you got some shit. Send me some shit, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so I would send him whatever I had. And then when this playlist retreat thing got conceptualized, he hit me up. He's like, yo, what are you doing through these days? And I was like, nothing, I don't think. What you got going on? He's like, I'm putting together this thing. Just keep your calendar open around this particular week. And sure enough, I eventually hear from, his team. They're like, okay, you've officially been invited to this playlist retreat situation, and no one knows what it is.
Okay.
No one knows what it is. Because to the point to where there was probably, you also didn't know who else got invited.
Got it.
And so.
But it's coming from Jazzy Jeff, so
yeah.
Who cares who else got invited?
Who cares?
You got invited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At the very least for me, I get to go hang out with Jeff.
There it is.
You know what I mean? So I'm going like, I don't know what this is. Cool. And we figure out slowly but surely this is going to be at his home. And he does the most cryptic thing where they create like this page, this web page. And if you go to the page to sign in, there's this collage of pictures, and it's all, he wanted everybody to send them baby pictures.
I like
so
that.
You see this collage of baby pictures, and you don't know who you're looking at. You're going, I don't know who these babies are.
Whose babies are these?
Whose babies are these?
You're like, oh, that's baby me though.
Yeah, I was like, I recognize baby me.
Yeah.
Which means
these are baby.
These are. So now I'm looking at these pictures and going like, who did this baby look like they might grow up to? Like I'm like trying to work this out of my head. And I think once I got to the retreat, everybody was trying to do the same thing. It was like, oh, we were sitting there studying last night. It's like, yeah, that might be. No, that baby's not ugly enough to be. Okay, no. But the date comes, and the plane ticket is waiting for me. I get on the plane, and right from the jump, I'm sitting in my plane seat, and the guy sitting next to me is an artist called Sir. Incredible singer, incredible artist, comes from an incredible line of people, and I go, dude, yeah, I got your record, whatever, and blah, blah. And he's like, oh, man, how do you know? I was like, so yeah, you got this song called Cannabis and Karaoke. That's my joint. And like, whatever. And he's like, word, man. And so we're chopping it up on the plane. A few seats ahead of me, I think I saw DJ Newmark. When I get off the plane, I realized that on the same flight was, there's a group called King. These sisters, at the time they were 3. I think now there are just 2 of them.
Okay.
I'm going, yo, that's King. Their new record is crazy too, whatever. And I'm looking around, I'm going, okay, now it's all starting to kind of, and we get to like baggage claim, and I'm seeing more and more people. And we go out, and there's these big Suburbans waiting for all of us. And we all have been assigned. And I'm in one with a couple of the DJs from Solection. And you know, and there's Zoom. There's what are the little cameras? Why am I forgetting the name of these little cameras? GoPros. Jeez. Get it together, Grandpa. There's these little GoPros in the van taping us the whole time, and so we're just having these conversations. And I'm like, this is wild. This is crazy. But it's also wild because I'm in the van with these. I had never met any of the Solection DJs, and they're all relatively younger.
Okay.
And we're talking about the fact that they're like, yo, I came to you guys' like show in LA when I was like 15. And I'm going like, wait, what? Like, and to know like how far back some of these guys. So, you know, we pull into Jeff's estate, his manor, the long road, and get to the end of this driveway. And I'm going, okay, this must be Jeff's house. I get out of the truck. DJ Scratch is a prolific, you know, he's a well-known producer / DJ in the DJ community, but also one of my favorite producers. He did some of my favorite Busta records. He was with EPMD for years. He's in Jeff's garage, just on an MPC. What is he making? I don't know. I don't care. DJ Scratch is in there making a beat. Z-Trip is on the tables looking through some other like floppy disks or whatever, and I'm going, that's Z-Trip. Young Guru is watering the plant. Like on the side.
Shout out Young Guru, yo. Just off the top, watering plants. Gotta shout that guy out.
Just watering plants.
But we all know Young Guru if you know.
Listen,
hip-hop.
man, like he's watering plants. Just Young Guru. Eventually, James Poyser shows up, which, you know, we're not going to talk too much about James because he's an idiot. But I get out of the car to this. Like I'm fresh off of a plane to LA. I was just sitting in my boxers in my room, like in front of my computer working on some stuff. And now I'm in Delaware at this legend's house with all these legendary people just in a garage and watering plants and just hanging out. And I'm going, okay, all right. And there's all these campers set up. And so he's like, yeah, everyone's been assigned a camper. And the thing was, I got there, I think, earlier than some of the other guests. So you were supposed to come in through the front.
Yeah.
And I missed all of that. So I had to kind of circle back and go in, and you get like your little name tag, you get your little welcome package or whatever, you get your assignment and what camper you're in and who your roommates are. My roommate is Lord Finesse. He's one of them. As well as like a collection of other people. And I'm going like, this is crazy. And I'm no sleep. Yeah. Like I didn't sleep the night before or whatever, like, cause I was working on something that I was trying to finish. Eventually everyone kind of shows up, and the first playlist retreat was much smaller. The first playlist retreat was maybe 50 people.
Okay.
It would eventually get up to, you know, I feel like maybe the last one was closer to like 200 some people.
Okay.
But in the beginning, it was relatively small. Mostly people that he already knew. None of these people I knew, with the exception of walking into the studio and seeing a tall black guy digging for records and figuring out that that's tall black guy.
Okay, so now you have all of these people in the building.
So now everyone collects, and this would become a tradition with every playlist retreat. We all circle around his pool.
Okay.
And he welcomes everybody. He's like, this is the playlist retreat. I want everybody to feel welcome. And he says something. He goes, every one of you here is connected, even if you don't know how yet. Every one of you here is connected. And I go, how the fuck am I connected with all these people? Like, what are you talking about? Like, okay. And so, you know, the whole first night is just about everybody getting comfortable. He has a tent and everybody's serving food, and it's just amazing food. You know, there's drinks, there's smoke, whatever you want, whatever your vices are. Everybody, we're chilling. Music is playing. There's a world-class collection of DJs. So the music is not hurting for anything in terms of what you're able to hear. And there's tables set up everywhere. There's in the pool house, there's one outside, you know, whatever. And so I'm just, you know, whatever. And the person I latch onto immediately is TBG, is Tall Black Guy, because we're both kind of in the same state of like, yo, where are we?
Yeah.
What is this? And, you know, the night carries on, sitting at a table, having these conversations with people and blah, 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 or at least at my immediate table. And young Guru gets excited. He's like, yo, we got all these producers, all these DJs. We got a studio right here. Let's go. And so we all walk into the studio and we just start working on some shit. Like, I forget who started, whatever. He's like, cool, bet. You got a sample you want to chop up? You use or whatever. He's pointing to one of the guys or whatever. And for some reason, we're probably a good maybe like hour into it. And I go, I should get some sleep. I feel like this is going to be the vibe the entire 3 or 4 days that we're here. I want to be well rested. Probably the nerdiest thing to do in that moment, but that's me. And, and I'm going like, okay, so I escape, kind of Homer my Simpson through the bushes, out of the studio. I go to my camper and I crawl over Lord Finesse's equipment in his bag and I go to sleep.
Yeah.
I wake up super early, early for me because I'm on LA time and I'm on the East Coast. So I wake up at like 7, which means that I woke up at like 4, like West Coast time. But I got sufficient amount of sleep. I'm also excited because I wake up and realize and remember where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh yeah, okay. So I crawl out of the joint, walk out, and walk across this big field. And Jeff is just sitting out early in the morning, having a cup of coffee, looking out over the, and I was maybe one of maybe 3 people awake. And immediately, this is now a nickname that is stuck with me, that he calls me every time I see him. He goes, Brother Stroseph. He said, how'd you sleep? And I'm like, I slept, I guess, as good as I can, man. I was like, dude, thank you again. He's like, listen, man, again, I'm going to tell you, you guys are all connected. You don't know it yet. And so he had these portable shower situations. And I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out these portable. So he's like, ain't nobody up yet. Use the shower in the house. I was like, bet, cool. I go in, use the shower in the house. Get ready, come back out in the camper. People are starting to wake up one by one. People are, whatever. And he's got pretty much all 3 days planned. There's people in town, there's vendors in town, people from these companies that are giving these seminars and whatnot. Yep. So we go down to the first one, which I think might have been run by Serato. And this is a combination of Serato kind of, talking, but also kind of the official meet and greet. Yeah. So what he's doing is everybody's sitting in his table, they're sitting in these seats. And I sit down next to Rich Medina, my guy, who I've come to know very well over the last few years. And and I don't know if you know Rich. Do you know Rich Medina? Anybody know Rich? So I sit down next to Rich, and Rich is here, and he's like, "You wearing house shoes? That's some fly ass shit." I'm like, word, man. I just comfort over everything. He was like, word, and I was like, cool. And so we chop it up a little bit or whatever, and Jeff comes and he speaks in front of the people. And he's like, what I want everybody to do is to stand up and state, your name and where you're from and what you do. Yeah. You don't got to go into too many details or whatever. Just give so that everybody's familiar, whatever. So one by one, I'm seeing people stand up and go, yeah, I'm such and such, blah, blah, blah. I'm a legend. Basically, they don't say that. But in my brain, that's what it's reading as. It's like, I've done this or whatever. You should all bow to me. And, and one by one, they're all standing up. And it gets to my turn. And I was like, hey, how you doing? I'm from Los Angeles, California. My name is Stro Elliot. And as soon as I say my name, like half the people in the room go, yo! And it freaks me out a little bit. I go, and I almost sit down immediately. And I go, yeah, I make beats. I make music. And I sit back down. And everybody continues to do that. They go around the room. And and then the Serato people speak for a little while, and then there's a break where we're like, okay, everybody just get up or whatever. And one by one, I get up in the room, and one by one, these people start coming up to me like, yo, I got like 6 of your records, B. Yo, I got like 3 of your records. Yo, I play this record over. I play this record all the time or whatever. And it was all of a sudden, and this is what Jeff was talking about. We're just going how we're all connected. These legendary DJs have been playing my record. I knew about it from Jeff because Jeff would either tweet about it or I would hear about it from Skills or whatever. I had no idea that the record had circulated to these people, to this caliber of people. And so it was kind of, in a nutshell, that was kind of the entire week was that of me meeting these people that were my heroes, finding out that the majority of them had my records and loved the record.
Okay, so you're living your best life at this point.
Living my best life. I'm meeting all these people. We're in this room. These conversations are being had. I get to a point where I'm able to play records for people, and it's amazing. They all want a flash drive of stuff, and you know, as much as we like to say we don't need a certain amount of validation, you know, you just like to know that you're on the right track at a certain point. You like to know that you're making something that is, you like it. I know I like it.
Yeah.
I know that there's a select group of people that like it, but if I'm going like, oh, okay, if a young guru likes this, if a Jeff likes this, if the room full of people that, you know, I look up to like this, then that's encouragement for me to keep doing what I do and look at it as less of a cute little hobby thing and something that I should take serious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So,
yes.
So in that particular moment where after the meet and greet, somewhere halfway through that meet and greet walks in an Amir Thompson, better known as Questlove. And everyone in the room kind of had the same response, even as big as they were. Like, you know, when a Questlove enters the room, you kind of go, oh shit, that's Questlove.
It's Questlove.
Now, at that point, I had met him briefly at a Roots Grammy Jam in LA that we were invited to when I was in the group, the Procussions, because we got invited to do this Grammy Jam one year. We got invited to do the Grammy Jam, I want to say like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I was sick every time.
What's wrong with you, bro?
I don't know. The first year I was sick. The second year I was sick. Finally, the third year I wasn't sick. And I go up to him, like, what's up, man? My name is Stro, part of the group, the Procussions. He's like, yeah, I know who you are. And I was like, cool, man. Good to meet you. Thanks for inviting us, whatever.
Yeah.
Brief, quick, you know, whatever. So that was it.
Grammy Jam is the Roots thing.
Yeah, the Roots thing.
Got it.
Yeah, something they do every year. So, you know, after, you know, we all, you know, kind of break camp or whatever, I walk out in the hallway and I see him and I go, yo, I was like, what's up, man? I don't know if you remember. And he goes, and he cuts me off. He's like, yo, man, I heard that Stro Elliot, tall black guy, and 14 KT was all going to be in the same place. And I had to come. He's like, I'm supposed to be at Fallon right now. You know, me and James are down here. Look, well, James don't live too far from Jeff. He's in like on the outskirts of Philly, but like literally like a half hour away tops, you know. He's like, but I had to come down here, man, whatever. He's like, and I was like, oh man, I was like, yeah, I just met tall black guy for the first time. And he goes, wait a minute, y'all don't know each other? Amir's understanding or Questlove's understanding of it, he's like, I thought you, TBG, and 14 KT all lived in the same house and somewhere and just made beats 24/7 in the world. Like, I thought that was y'all's vibe. I was like, no.
This is high praise, bro.
Absolutely. And I'm going like, no, I just met tall black guy, 14 KT. Funny enough.
How high are you floating over the floor?
I'm not even awake.
You're not even awake.
I'm not even awake.
I get it.
Like, this is all just kind of, you know, whatever. On top of the fact that I'm running on limited sleep. Like, this is all just because it wasn't even just about just the clientele of people that was there. It was just fun. Yeah. We're all just talking music. We're making music. We're talking records. We're making records. Like, it was everything I wanted to do with the clientele of people that you would want to do that with.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it was, on top of the fact that we heard it for nothing there. Like, they were so hospitable. There was always something to eat. They must have got my memo about the sweet tooth. There was candy everywhere. Like, everywhere. Come to find out that Jeff is the same, which is why sometimes I can't hang out with Jeff. I love you, Jeff. But when I'm trying to be good, I can't come to your crib. And I think you know this now.
Yo, my man assumes that Jazzy Jeff is going to watch or listen to this podcast, but I appreciate you.
He might.
I love you so much, man. All right, so Questlove, you call him Amir. I can't call him Amir because I don't know him like that.
I'll call him Quest just to keep the. But
he is
here. He's at this party.
Yeah.
And he sticks around for as long as he can, you know, for the day or whatever. Because I would come to learn that they tape at 5. And, you know, he's like, yeah, send me whatever you got. Whenever you got some stuff, send me some stuff. You know, I DJ. And I was like, yeah, I got you. So he becomes another name that gets added to this email list of incredible DJs that I send music to. You know, this relationship probably lasts a good, I don't know, how long was that? Probably a good like 6 to 8 months.
What year is this?
This is 2015, 16?
2015, 16. Okay.
Something like one of those years. And in the meantime, every once in a while, I'm just getting these random Twitter shout outs. Aloe Black tweeted out some stuff. He's like, yo, Amir just played me this incredible record by this producer, Stro Elliot, who I come to find out is a guy that I know very well.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. Because at some point, we kind of fell out of touch, probably when he started, you know, when his records started becoming really successful. But also because I wasn't as out in the scene as much for a while. Like there was a period.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you decided to put that dream on hold.
Yeah. So
even though you said you were like, it's over, you decided to put it on hold.
Yeah, there were literally people who didn't know where I went, and that was on purpose. But you know, and then I remember one day I got a tweet, and it was Questlove tweeting, and there was 3 handles in it. There was my handle, there was Questlove's handle, and there was Lindsay Lohan's handle.
Oh, what? Okay.
And then there was a Tonight Show handle, and I'm going, what?
Whoa.
And it come to find out they use my music as Lindsay Lohan's Walk On. Anytime they pick Walk On music to play for the guests, you know, they choose the music. And they played Soul the Stro. For whatever reason, I don't remember what the reference was as to what they were referring to or whatever she was doing. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching this clip of this band that I have all the reverence in the world for play a track that I made for Lindsay Lohan to sit and walk on the couch to talk to Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show. And this is just existing in this little box in my phone, you know, on Twitter.
So we've made it?
No, that wasn't the attitude.
Okay.
But the attitude was definitely like, wow. It was more like what I was just saying. It was just the idea that something that I made in my little corner of corner of the world in my bedroom that came from this brain, and you know whatever now exists there. Yeah, now exists in that form in that collection of people. That's wild. That's crazy.
How art is. That's how art is. That's how art is.
Right.
The creation that you did in your home is not. It's what you make at that time, but it's not really the art until it is able to affect others in the world.
And I think because I had been away from it so long, I forgot that. I forgot that that's what that felt like, to make something and to know that there's a potential for that thing to be exposed to hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, depending on the success of that or the reach of that particular piece of art.
Sure.
I forgot what that felt like. So to see it, and then to see it on that scale where I'm going like, I have no business amongst any of these other handles, you know, in this tweet, but word up.
But you do though, bro. Like that's the thing. Like you don't think it, but again, I want to just bring it back. We do. The people who know you, who have been rooting for you and on your on your sideline cheering for you the entire time, who knew that when you were in those temp agency jobs, like this is Stro, this is the guy, right? Like that. Whenever any of this stuff comes up, I was just like, yeah, because that is what was meant for this individual, right? So if you didn't think that was you making it at that time, no. What's next? Because you're like, well, this isn't it. Like, this is awesome, but what is next?
I was like, this is great, but I think I took everything as like, if I die tomorrow, I'll be happy. I took everything day to day. I took everything as like, we're not promised tomorrow. I don't know what happens tomorrow. To get to say that this happened for me today is enough.
Yes,
that's great.
Yes,
and so I took that as it was. Great, cool. In the meantime, I continue to just kind of make music, do remixes when I could do remixes. It continued to get a lot of love. I eventually got invited on shows like Soulection when they get partnered with Apple Music, and shout out to the homie Joe K. They've always showed love from day one, and all the DJs are part of that whole collection or collective. And I was just in this scene that I really wanted to be in.
Now you're part of the community.
I'm a part of this LA scene of musicians and beat makers who get to show up and do stuff. And I remember the first time I got invited to play Low in Theory. I was like, yo, this is. Yeah, like I'm
you
good.
Weren't no longer in the crowd.
Yeah, now I'm a part of this. And now I'm getting asked to go and do gigs in other places in the country and do these setups. And I'm like, cool. This is it. Solo.
You could do this by yourself.
Solo, by myself.
The person that thought that they couldn't do anything music by themselves solo is now doing their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it took some getting used to because I didn't, or whatever. And so, I do that for, like I said, probably a good 6 to 8 months. And then I get a text from Mr. Questlove. And it shows
who's also a part of this text group? Lindsay Lohan?
No. This was just him.
It's just Quest. Okay.
I still don't have Lindsay Lohan's information. That's not what went down.
So Questlove sends you a text.
He sends me a text and he's like, listen, it's my understanding that you play drums on pads.
Oh, okay.
We're doing the first and now the only, to this day, the only Roots picnic that we normally do every year in Philly. We're doing one this year in New York.
Oh.
And we wanted to be New York themed. So they had Nile Rodgers and they had Alicia Keys being from New York, and it was a New York theme. They had David Byrne and so
David Byrne. Shout out David Byrne.
Yeah, that was crazy. Nicest dude in the world. I met him now a couple times.
Yo, he went to my college. I mean, not the same time. Yeah, he went to Micah.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. But he also invited Wu-Tang. And he's like, but here's the thing I want to do. I want it to sound as authentically like the record as I can. Okay. So I want to have you play the drums from the record real time.
Okay.
While I am on top of what you're doing. Sometimes I might not even play it. It'll just be you drumming and the band is playing around what you're doing.
So you're going to be with him.
Yeah.
You're on a drum machine.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying that you're going to be at this event. You're going to be on that while he's playing actual drums.
Yeah, and the rest of the musicians are playing along.
Word.
And the idea is to make it sound as much like the record as possible.
Okay.
Which is why I'm there. I'm there for authenticity.
Okay.
But he's like, yeah, I heard you have this skill set where you play like a drummer. So can you play these chopped up drums like they did on the album live? And I'm like, yeah.
With the Roots crew.
With the Roots. Yeah. So he's like, cool. This is when this happens. We're going to fly you out so that we can have rehearsal time or whatever. And then the show will be this date or whatever and blah, blah, blah. Coinciding with that, there's a company called Mass Appeal who does a series called Rhythm Roulette. They were doing this stretch where they were on the West Coast. They're based out east. Mm-hmm. They're like, all right, so they were trying to hit up as many producers based out west as they could. Come to find out, I was one of the producers that they wanted to connect with. They're like, yeah, can we come shoot an episode? If you're not familiar with the format of the show, basically what they do, you go to a record store, you tie a blindfold around you, you pick through a random section of records, and you end up with 3 records, and you take out the blindfold, and whatever records you end up with, they want you to make something with.
I like it.
And so I was familiar with the show. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Went to a record store in Pasadena, California, where I lived, Pooh Bah Records.
Hey.
You take them back to your lab, and you make a joint. I decided to attempt to make 3. I was like, I'm going to make 3 different records. I think mostly just because I think at that point I had seen Ninth Wonders. Shout out to Ninth Wonder. And Ninth Wonder it felt like he made 6. Like it felt like he just kept making joints for his episodes. So I'm going like, oh, that must be how you do this. So I got 3 records. I'm gonna try to make 3 joints.
There we go.
So I did the episode, shot it, and off they went. So when I get flown out to New York to do this event with the Roots, my episode of Rhythm Roulette also comes out at the same time.
Timing, bro.
And I show up to the event, and it was really wild to run into people who were going like, because they were also there. The people from Mass Appeal were also there. And they were going, yo, your episode came out really dope. And they were like, yeah. He was like, it's going up tonight. And I'm going, oh, word. It was like, yeah. This was the same night that I was doing the performance, whatever. And I'm going, wow, that's crazy, whatever. And so it was a combination of getting to do this really cool event, rocking in front of, rocking Wu-Tang in the middle of Bryant Park in Midtown New York, looking up at all these skyscrapers and this band that I have all the respect in the world for, all these artists and whatever and blah, blah, blah. I got invited to do a set that night. My guy Mark on bass wanted me to do a set at this event that he was doing. And I get home and my mentions are flooded because everybody saw the Rhythm Roulette episode. And the guys were right. They were like, yo, it was like the thing that they kept telling me was like, it's easily the most positive comment section I think I've seen on one of these things. And I'm going, really? Because I know how gutter some of these,
Standing there, bro.
But he was like, no, like it's unanimous that people love this particular episode. They kind of pair you and Ninth Wonder together as like like one of the 2 better episodes. I'm going, wow, that's incredible. So I'm riding a wave at this point. I'm great. But again, I leave New York on my way back to LA going, cool.
You still haven't made it. You still don't feel like you made it.
This is bucket list. I get to check something off the bucket list.
You're enjoying it as it's happening.
I'm enjoying it as it happens. This is amazing. This is great. Now I'm just going to go home and continue to do what I'm doing. I do that, and it's all kind of a blur. And, you know, I feel like I woke up on like an occasion and there were like some people in town, like Z-Trip was in town playing like a do-over and he's like, yo, you should come through. All the homies are here. And I'm going, okay. You know, and I come through and I hang out with them and, you know, and the homie Aloe was there and I hadn't seen him in a while, which was really crazy to see him in that context, especially knowing how long it had been and everything that had transpired since, you know, not only for me, but for him specifically.
For sure.
You know, and I think Victor Duplay was there, a couple other but like just a bunch of just fan people, but also people that I was easily a fan with. And that thing kind of carries over for a while.
Yeah.
Until eventually, probably months after that, I get a different kind of text.
From
Questlove. So this is after the New York night. There was a great night, the New York event that was great. Rocked with Wu-Tang in the middle of Bryant Park in New York. Alicia Keys was on the bill. Her set was great. I got to see D'Angelo perform live because he was playing the night before. I got to watch a rehearsal.
Oh
that was crazy. And then meet him. He allowed me to meet him like afterwards. And he was familiar with one of my records. It was nuts. It was an incredible fucking week. But so months after this or whatever, I'm still working, I'm doing my gigs or whatever, and then I get a text. And it's as cryptic as a mirror can be. He's like, so what are you doing for the next 5 to 25 years? What?
25 to life, bro. He's like, what's going on?
How long do you see yourself living in LA? I don't know. You play drums, right? Real drums too, right? Yeah. You know Pro Tools? What the fuck is going on?
What do you want?
Until eventually he's like, okay, so we recently had an opening in the band. You know, we had to let somebody go. And we started having conversations about, you know, hiring another percussionist or whatever. And, you know, traditional percussionists were being named, but I thought it'd be really cool to do something different, do something new. I know that you're also a producer, so it'd be great to have you on board also as a producer. I know you also play drums, so it'd be good to have you as a backup when I need backup. And I'm like, cool, or whatever. And in my brain, for some reason, I was thinking about it like, oh, okay, when they do shows, they'll just fly me from LA to do the shows. I didn't realize he was asking me to be a member of the band, which means that I also have to be there for Fallon, which means that I have to move to New York. I don't know anything about New York. I'm across the country as far as you can get away from New York.
West Coast living.
And it wasn't until I got off the phone with him and I immediately called Jeff, Mr. Jeff Towns. By that point, we were really good friends. And I hit him up and I was like, yo, I think I just got offered a job. He was like, what, as a root?
That's a root.
And Jeff did his Jeff thing now that's come like, he's like, hey man, I can't tell you I'm surprised. And I was like, really? I mean, what? And everything in me, because at the time we were gearing up to do, him and Will were going to do a string of shows as DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They were going to do like maybe a handful of shows. And I was going to be a part of that band. Yeah. So my loyalty is to whatever Jeff. If Jeff would have told me not to join the Roots, I wouldn't have joined.
I get it.
And so everything in me wanted him, but Jeff, being the dude that he is, he was like, "Listen, man, I'm not gonna make that decision for you. I can't make that decision for you. This is about what you want to do for the rest of your life and the rest of your career, you know, or whatever. Like, this is what do you want to do? You know, is this something? I mean, it's about everything. It's about not only in the context of what the band is and it being on that show. Do you want to even live on the East Coast? Do you like what do you want to do? You figure out all that stuff. And he did the best thing possible. Is he put me on the phone with Mr. James Poyser. Again, complete idiot James is, but James was real with me. He was like, listen, it's a job. Yeah. It's a job. We have you're an artist, so you know what it's like to just kind of be freelance and be doing things here willy-nilly and on your own schedule. There's a place that you have to be 5 days out of the week now, being Fallon, and also places that you have to be when there are root shows. You know what I mean? So now your time is kind of spoken for more than it would be if you're living in LA. If you're okay with that, then you're good for the job, but that's what it is. Yeah. And I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense. And the way that I weighed it in my head was like, okay, I've never lived in New York. I've never got to play with a band of this caliber. I don't know anything about being on TV. It's something to try. It's an experience. Yeah, sure. You know, and at the end of it all, if it doesn't work, hey, I tried it. It didn't work. I didn't like it, or they didn't like me, or whatever. Like, whatever. It is what it is. But, you know, 6-7 years later, you know, And most of that has to do with the fact that, everybody in that band, we were talking earlier about the assortment of characters that we were on the road with. Everybody in that band is an incredible assortment of character. Like they're all really different from one another. And it was interesting to get to know them outside of, the reverence that I have for them as musicians and entertainers and whatnot, because there's a part of me that sees little pieces of myself in each and every one of them, but there's also something for me to learn from each and every one of them, which is the greatest thing about this whole experience. It was something to learn. Like it was an opportunity to go, okay, I don't know anything about New York, so let's learn something about New York. I don't know anything about playing with a band. Let me learn something about playing with a band. I don't know anything about a lot of things. This is an opportunity to learn some things. The thing that I didn't foresee in the pandemic that, was, okay, now this is an opportunity to learn more about myself, which was a whole other, mess of stuff or whatever. But it's been the greatest education, for whatever the next step is for me or the next steps are for me. And I have, not only Amir Thompson, but everybody else in that organization. And the people at Fallon are incredibly sweet too and incredibly great. I've so thoroughly enjoyed my time there. I'm talking like I'm quitting or I'm leaving. I'm not. But but I also do realize that some things do come to an end sometimes. I remember during the strike, it was kind of like, oh, wow. You can all of a sudden be in a situation that, all of a sudden you don't have this job or this place to go to for whatever reason, mostly because it's not mine. That's not mine. At any given point that they decide to get rid of me, they could, because it's not mine, which makes me look more towards the things that I want to do and the things that I can establish for myself. But all of that and many, many other things comes from the education that I've gotten of being amongst those people, being in that building every day and being on that stage with those individuals as often as I have over the last 6+ years.
I was going to ask if at that point when, I guess the first day you were on the stage as a Roots member, whether it's on the Tonight Show or whether it was in some city when you guys go on tour, did that moment feel, again, as if you made it? But
no,
I'm starting to understand.
Yeah.
Because in my eyes, you have made it. But I'm starting to understand you in a way of that there isn't no making it.
No.
You're making the things as you make them.
Making it for me
is
just
a part of the journey.
Making it for me is waking up every day.
Hey.
The moment that I wake up and I go, okay, I have another day to write something new. I have another day to become a different person than I was the day before, or add to or tattoo on my skin something that wasn't there the day before.
For sure.
That's making it. Everything that happens because you could end up having a shitty day, you could end up having a great day.
Yeah.
And everything I feel like I've learned so much from every type of day. So
I love that.
I kind of count it all the same thing at the end of it all. But making it, and I get it, there should be a part of me that goes, okay, let's celebrate the fact that I got to experience these things or this thing. And I do take time out to do that.
You have to.
I do. And I've gotten better about that. But I also tend to not try to dwell on it too much. I'm a person that can be my own worst enemy when it comes to, I will never be a person that pats myself on the back. I hate listening. I'm a person that doesn't know how to take a compliment. Mostly just because I'm like, listen, compliment me after I'm dead. It keeps me humble while I'm alive, at least. I look around at the people, who start to sip their own Kool-Aid too much, and you see it. You see it as it starts to happen. You go, And that's the thing that also, besides the ego that happens, is that as soon as you start to feel like you're a person that knows a lot or knows too much, you stop learning.
Yeah.
I don't want to become a person that starts learning, because the things that I've learned over the last 2-3 years of my life are so fascinating to me. The things that I've learned about myself, my craft, the people around me, the things that I've learned about everything, about life, are so fascinating to me that if I felt like at any point my ego got so large that I would put a tourniquet on what's in, and it's continual every single day. Like there's something, even if it's small, where you wake up and whether it's over the course of an amount of meditation that happens in the morning or just a conversation that you hear, there are endless lessons that are here. And there's a reason that we were born with 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. I way am more interested in the things that I'm able to intake than what I can speak about. Sure, eventually you get to a point where we want to talk about these things. That's how we communicate.
For sure.
But the amount of things that are there to be learned, even just the idea of just being alive and what that means to exist amongst other living things, is so much more fascinating to me. So,
I hear you, man. Stro Elliot, I'm so thankful to have you in my life as my friend.
Likewise, man.
To have had you on the podcast is just something that I just needed for others to hear this story that always has me just on the edge because it is, for me, it's inspiring. It still inspires me.
Mm-hmm.
Watching you on Fallon is just, for me, it's like every moment I watch, when I see it, I'm just like, holy shit. That is incredible. And I say it because I saw you take your super suit off and you tried to fucking pretend like you were Clark Kent around here. You're a fucking Superman, bro. And
I appreciate that,
I'm
man.
so glad that you're back in your super suit, showing people who what makes you happy, spreading that joy, and continually inspiring others in the space. Giants in the industry see you at the same level, and I hope you see yourself as that, because the names you mentioned that you're in that community, they're like, when they're like, holy shit, to you, you have to take the moment to think about it. And I see that, and I go, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. So, man, I'm really appreciative of the fact that you came down to Baltimore, spend time with us, be in the jungle. Let me pick your brain just for a bit, tell the audience exactly who you are. But man, I can't even tell you how. And it's weird to say I'm proud of you, but I'm excited for you. I'm still that guy. When I first met you and I was on that tour with you guys, I'm your tour manager. I'm in the crowd with those people who love you, learning to love you too. I'm like, these guys are fucking awesome. And I saw you for like 30 nights perform on stage, and that effort that you gave then, you're still giving today. And man, it is so beautiful to see. You don't want to pat yourself in the back. Let me and all the many others do it for you. You are a true blessing to have in this space, man. Like as an artist, man. As an individual. So I thank you. Before we go, just in case people are still here, because this is a two-parter. It feels like. Where can people find you beyond every weeknight on Fallon? Where do you want people to just check in on you?
I mean, listen, I'm on social media. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, like most sane people. So you'll find me on there talking. Hopefully more sense than shit, but sometimes both occur.
Throw your handles out there. What we got?
Stro Elliot Music, I think on IG. If not, you can find me if you search Stro Elliot on IG, on TikTok, on whatever Twitter is now.
We'll post them also
on Threads, on all of them. I'm Stro Elliot.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
Stro Elliot, man. Everyone, you've just had the pleasure to hear one of the best Roots crew, Mr. Stro Elliot. And before I go, I do have to say, make sure you follow the podcast, subscribe, go grab any of those. You're selling music still, right?
Yeah.
SoundCloud?
Yeah.
All those places?
Yeah, you can find me on Spotify and iTunes Music. And
wherever
SoundCloud,
wherever you intake music, that's where my man is.
I'm hanging out there somewhere.
He's hanging out there
at a
somewhere.
bar. Come buy me a drink.
Yo, so lastly, before we go out the gate, he said 5 to 25.
5 to 25.
What are you doing for the next 5 to 25?
I don't know.
Are we leaning to? Are we going to make it 25?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think because you have people in the band who have a broader sense of what they're capable of doing. It's kind of widen my horizons as well as what I could possibly do. I don't know. I really don't know. However long I'm here, I will enjoy it thoroughly. I love my job.
Yeah.
It's the best job in the world. I get the best seat in the house to be a part of the best band in the world and watch, both Jimmy and Higgins go at it every night with some of the best guests in the world. And I'm incredibly spoiled in that regard. And, so whatever happens, like I've enjoyed my time for however long it may be. If I get fired tomorrow, it was worth it.
I love it. Well, we've enjoyed watching you, bro, for sure. Like, it's been awesome, and I hope I get to continue whatever capacity you decide to create, whatever space you decide to create in. I will be right there, rooting you on, trying to consume as much of that.
Likewise,
as
man.
possible, brother.
Last independent thought moment, so I can make sure I get out of his head correctly. I couldn't be prouder of the person that you've evolved into as well. Like plants, I would have never saw.
Well, you and me
From the
both.
moment that you played a Steffi BL song, I would have never said that guy is going to know a whole lot about plants and make a whole world around that, and be able to speak to people who love plants and people who want to own plants in the way that you do. I'm super proud of you, bro.
I appreciate that, brother.
Being a family man. That's big.
Hey, man. That's been the one thing I'll say. It's been the life-changing thing. Like you say, like if I was to leave this, I used to say this before I had a kid. If I was to leave this planet, I would be happy with everything I've accomplished. Now I'm trying to hold on as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I need that time. But I do believe that I needed, I guess, relationships like this.
Yeah.
To live those different lives, to be the father that I'm trying to be to my daughter, which has been, it's I can't even tell you, bro. It's a whole nother thing, man. It's a whole nother thing. So, yeah, man. I love you, dude. I really do love you. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're doing what you're doing. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad. I'm not just for like your financial status to change, right? But just because the cream always make it to the top. Fucking knew you were cream. This kid's he's cream. He's cream. He's cream. When I saw you in that fucking suit, bro, button up, whatever. What the fuck? Like who? Why don't you know this? Or I'm upset at others for not giving you the, you know what I mean? Because you see a lot of people who have talent and they don't get to fully express themselves or show that to the world.
Like I said, neither one of these are therapy couches to be able to go into that.
For sure.
But, I'm grateful that I'm here regardless.
All right, let's wrap up, man. Thank you again.
Likewise. Thank you, man.
All right, brother.
All right.